before I can switch out to actual heroes. But beyond that, the Thief faction sucks. Welcome back to the Average Gamer. As promised, today I'll be covering the classes in Autobrawl Chess Battle Royale. Right, so we have the Warrior Class. The Warrior Class has a mix of all the factions that we covered before. I will obviously recommend Ali, Titania, and Hanzo on this one. Vinci is also pretty great, but Warrior faction sucks. The Slayer faction, we got another mix of heroes from other factions. So now in this one, I will recommend Thanatos. He's the only one worthwhile, but try to think Angelia is okay, but I hardly ever use her. Slayer faction sucks again. The Thief faction, I usually use Ratatosker when I start the match before I can switch out to actual heroes, but beyond that, the Thief faction sucks. Next up, we have the Guardian class. Of course, on top of the list would be Lancelot. He is awesome, and if you're running Empire, he's your bet. So Lancelot and Marilyn make a perfect starting team if you can get him up. But on top of that, we got Taurus as well as Butcher. Those are great to run your defensive line. Jax is also pretty good, but yeah, I can only use her when I'm running tribe factions as well. Alright, next up we are going to the Soaring faction, the flyers of the game. Nobel, #1 pick all the time. So when I'm starting the match, I usually have Nobel and Empyrean. They run for like 4 turns before I switch out to anything else. But Nobel is my end game character. I explained that before. If you don't know why I love Nobel, check out my previous video, link in the description. Okay, we also have Carter. I don't know if that's the right pronunciation, but I usually, if I have another beast in the faction. On the other side, we have Shenlong. She is an awesome pair with Nobel. I switch out Empyrean for Shenlong. The boost that you get as Soaring, that means the attack speed for all your enemies is decreased by 25%. If you have 4 of them, it decreases by 50%. So, Soaring faction for the win in this one. Next up would be the Warlock class. I hardly ever use any of them aside from Rushmore. If I'm going with Rushmore, that's when I'm trying to get all the elementals up and running. But the bonus for running Warlocks would be at the start of battle, you stun 2 enemies for 2 seconds. And if you got 3 of them on your field, that you stun the enemy 3 enemies for 2.5 seconds. If you have a massive 5 of them, that means you stun all the enemies for 3 seconds. That's running all of these guys, but I never really do that. Next up, we have the Shamans. Oh, these are the awesome teams that are basically good for support. You have Yara, top pick for tribe faction. The Shaman boost increases skill power to all allies by 50%. That means your skills hit like a truck. And if you have 3 of them on the field, you are hitting even harder. So if I'm running Empire faction, I will have Ingrid, Yara, as well as maybe Bruno if I'm also gonna be running the Plant faction to boost it up. So, but otherwise, that is the boost for the Shaman class. Alright, next class would be the Shooters. Shooters are awesome because you have Artemis there. Alright, so perfect for Empire faction. The shooter bonus gives all friendly shooters 30% attack speed. And if you have 6 of them, you get up to 80% attack speed and 80% attack. That means 6 shooters. Everybody is shooting hard. Next up on the shooter class, I would take Homer, Artemis, great shooters to have in your team. If you're feeling fancy, you might as well add Lariel to your team, and she will boost your attack as much as you can get. But those are the only 3 I would run for the shooters. Next up is the priest faction. Mary is my priest, and I'll always recommend Mary if you can get her. But in this one, you can at least use 3 doable priests. Some people use Tortilus. Tortilus is actually pretty good, especially on support. He heals his allies a lot, and it's a large range. He's a healer, so he's great. So the priest faction, all allies gain 75 magic resistance, and if you have 5 of them, you got 200 magic resistance. I normally have Mary, Ramses, and Blair. If I'm gonna be running the priest class, those are my top picks, but normally it ends up with Mary and just Ramses. Last but not least, we have the Mage Class. Awesome class. This has the majority of the heroes I use in Autobrawl chess. You got Marilyn, Mage, Sadako, Mage, Minerva, Mage, Imar, Mage, Nero, Mage, Zeus, Mage. So the beauty of the Mage class is that if you have 4 of them, you're getting 17 energy per second. So your ultimate skill charges way faster. So if you can get up to all 6 of them on the field, that means your super is charging up really fast. But I normally settle for 4, running Marilyn, Zeus, Nero, and Imar, or Marilyn, Sadako, Nero, and Imar. That's if I don't get Zeus to pop up. But anytime I get Zeus, he is getting in and I'm dropping Imar. Sadako is great because of her skill that nullifies all skills for all your enemies if you kill her ghosts. So those are my top picks for the priest class. Definitely check them out and try to use them in the game. Next time, I'll be showing you some gameplay in the ranked mode of PvP. We're getting to the good stuff now. Before I go, I just want to say there's been an update to the game and they've brought in a maze. But it's a whole lot of buggy right now. You're starting off at a level that is more than 10 times your average hero score, so chances are you're not gonna make it. So I will break down how the maze works in another video. Thank you very much for joining me on this short video, and I will see you next time. In all that you do, stay blessed. Cheers.